Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. Let's take tech in the right direction to drive social change and close the employment, pay, and culture gap for women in technology. This podcast is focused on helping turn ideas into action and create opportunities for women to advance in the dynamic technology industry. I hope this podcast will inspire and motivate you to encourage more women and girls to seek or grow a career as a woman in technology. Stories about the journey of amazing women in the tech field starts right now. Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. This week, I'll be speaking with Veronica Place. Veronica is an account manager for GenCare, a division of General Networks in Glendale, California. She has been with them for over 2 years and has partnered with them for over 6 years. Veronica has been an account manager for about 40 years, selling technology, advertising, automobile software, and now managed services for those companies that do not have an IT department. Her strength is that she can connect with just about anyone. This is most important in sales to get the correct solution to the customer. To truly hear what they want and need, and having that relationship to make recommendations that the customer trusts. Veronica is a mother and grandmother to a beautiful 6-year-old grandson that lives in San Diego near her. Her passions outside of work are music, specifically jazz and R&B, music festivals, road trips, exploring the beautiful small towns of the U.S., and she loves coaching to connect people to their greatness. Welcome to the show, Veronica. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. It's great to be here.
Great. So let's get started. So Veronica, as a woman in tech, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I started out in college wanting to be a legal secretary. And so I've got this job and I'm a secretary. I'm being really good at it. There were 3 men that were selling microfilm at the time and all the equipment around it. And I would take care of their accounts. And they left that company and started their own. And they asked me to come over. So I did. And they trained me how to become a salesperson. And so I got really good at it. And then I got married and I left that company, went to Pennsylvania and worked for another technical company and wound back up in California when I got divorced and I started working for Quick Start Intelligence. And I actually followed some of Justin Slagle's book of business because he had, that's the company he had. And then just kept, moving on and people asking me to work for them. And I worked for FMT for a while, and then which is a company that with CRM and SharePoint. And then what had happened was I started my own company, and I didn't like the billing side of it, and I didn't like chasing money, and the back end of a company. So I went back into account management. And when I came back to California, I had done a huge partner sale with General Networks when I was with FMT, and they couldn't do the migration. So I reached out to General Networks, and they were my partners. And then after I came back to California, they asked if I wanted to come work for them. So, that's my whole real history of being in tech. But, one thing I want to say is that tech has a lot of sides. It's not just one type of, when you're in tech, there's just a lot of different avenues to take.
Yeah, and that's so true. And I'm glad you brought that up so that our listeners can understand that tech doesn't mean always coding, right? There's so many different job roles within tech that are very exciting and very interesting. So when you got into tech, it was when, there were probably very few women in tech. Were you nervous about the technology? Did you have any like anxiety about it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so when I was selling microfilm, they had what they call like a reader printer, and then tech they started it's when, the PC first came out. I mean, I was in the early stages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then our head tech guy said, "Oh, I think I could network these." And so we'd have this computer attached to this reader printer, and it would tell the film to go to a certain frame. And we thought, oh my God, that's so big, And then
Mm-hmm.
he would network these computers, and that's really when networking started. And then we'd have I call him a cherry picker, where you'd have like a disc of like a disc, and it would have all that information on it, and it would pull that disc and put it in the reader for banks. And so that's kind of like how I got started. It was nerve wracking because I didn't know anything
Mm-hmm.
about technology, and I had to rely on my technical staff, which is still the same today. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as an account manager, I know enough to be able to direct the call, to be able to manage the client, to be able to listen for. But if you're going to ask me to network, put a network together or do a migration, I'm going to have to pass.
Right,
um,
right.
but as far as, yeah, I did that for many years, and then I got out of technology and sold advertising for several years. But then that went into tech. I mean, it was
Mm-hmm.
websites and, online advertising, and no more book, because I was selling for Yellow Book. So that
Mm-hmm.
went into technology. So really, as a woman, as a salesperson, as an account manager, or anybody really in business, I don't care, you're going to be touched by technology.
Right, right.
So it's, you think you might not, but you're going to be, if you're selling, you're going to be selling something around technology, I
Today,
believe.
if you live in our world, it's touched by technology. I
Yeah,
mean, lights and refrigerators and
it's all
phones
running
and
on it,
everything is
right?
connected. Yep.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so true. So your expertise lies in account management. You've done it for many, many years. Can you share with us what makes an exceptional account manager? Because you do so well in this role.
Yeah, General Networks actually hired me because of my account management skills. They knew, like, really, I was for the client, and I have listening for that. So, yeah, I would say, as an account manager, someone even starting out, really be there for the client. I mean, they know I'm there to make money. I mean, I'm a salesperson, I'm an account manager. But I mean, really, the first thing you need to do is really listen to what the client needs and what their wants are, but not necessarily go for what's going to make the most money in my pocket. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say, when I interview, I'm not the fastest horse out of the gate, but my clients are like glue in a mousetrap. They don't leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's because I listen to them, and I try to give them value. I give them value for what they need and price point. But the one thing that I think I do well is, if you have $5,000 and you have a project or something, or if you have $50,000 or $500,000, I don't treat you any different.
Mm-hmm.
Because that $5,000 to that smaller client might mean as much as somebody's larger client at 50,000.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I really do try to give everyone equal value. And the other thing too is, I feel like an account manager is sometimes the middle person between the account and my company that I represent. And when they don't see eye to eye, because, in business, if you're not doing business, there's no troubles, right?
Mhm.
So and that's when I get paid. I feel like that's when I get paid is when I if there's, a miscommunication or something like that. But I really do. And this is just what I do. I almost always take the side of the client
Mhm.
and make it right. Uh, because that old saying, the customer is always right.
Mhm.
We know that they're not always right, but if you can get your company and you can get the client to meet in the middle, then that's a win. And I feel like I do that really well. And I have integrity and I get things done. If I tell you I'll have it at 2 o'clock, I'll have it to you at 2 o'clock. If I don't have it to you and I know I'm not going to have it to you, you'll get communication from me that you're not going to receive it. And I think clients really like that because then they don't have to think about it. They can get
Mhm.
on to whatever they're doing. So really integrity, just saying, doing what you say you're going to do and
Mhm.
do it in a timely manner.
I love that you said client first because I have always said for years in my business that the customer pays our paychecks, not
Yes,
anybody else. So if we don't please the customer and we cannot get it right for the customer, we have no paychecks, we have no jobs, right? So our
exactly.
job is for the client, absolutely. And listening is so important. Like you said, you got to listen and provide them solutions to what their need is. And I love that you said, 5,000 or 500,000, it doesn't matter. It's still your customer and it's relative, right? The small company, 5,000 is a lot of money. And,
Yes,
a multi-billion dollar company, 500,000 is equal to 5,000 in some
yeah,
cases. So, yeah,
yes,
you're absolutely right. And I think the reason why you're so successful is that you've got the right attitude of the client comes first and the client is always right. And a lot of times they're not, but really it's their perception. This is how they're feeling. Then we have to listen and we have to make it right.
yes. And you can actually, even though they say they're right, you can actually communicate with them and your team to have a resolve, and it's an equal thing. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't mean
Right.
all or nothing,
Right.
but it's in the account management listening, where there could be an opening to have, um, meet in the middle,
Hmm. And
a
I think most
compromise.
clients are fair. I think they
Oh,
really are. If you come back to them in a business professional way to say, great, I understand you're feeling this way. Here's what we have. Here's what we can do. We want to make it right. We want you to be our customer for life. And
yes,
they can't really go wrong. I mean, they'll be fair.
yes, yes.
Great.
I've never had an account like leave because of something that has gone wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really true account management is focusing on the customer. So share with us about what services your company provides or products that they provide to help organizations.
Sure. So, General Networks is a managed service provider. So, we do, we go in if a customer, only has 10, 15 on their team, we'll go in and we'll manage their IT department. And if they have 500, we'll do the same. So,
Mhm.
basically, small, medium-sized business, we go in and um, provide all the services. So we'll be their help desk. If they have projects around migrations, whether it be, Office 365 going from premise to the cloud, or if, any kind of hybrid, my guy, and he's amazing. He's doing some project management for a client that we do no services for, but
Mhm.
he's in there, so pretty much we do everything around technology. We are not CRM. We we have partners that help us with that. And let's see, just uh, all projects.
Hmm. No, that's great that you have a service for smaller companies that cannot afford or maybe don't want to even deal with an IT department. And you can be their IT department, and that's awesome. I mean, you need computers for everything we do, and we need them running when we need them, you know? So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I have one client right now. He's been doing his own thing, but he says it's getting so complicated that
Hmm.
he's afraid that if he doesn't hire us, that down the road, that's when things will get tangled up and
Yep.
he'll have to redo his whole infrastructure.
So,
So,
so true.
yeah. So, yeah, we do a lot of consulting. We and then we get in and do the migrations as well. And one thing
Nice.
I want to say, there, as you know, being a Microsoft partner, there's a lot of MSPs. I mean,
Hmm.
and it's very competitive. The one thing I really love about my company is we do all the same services as most, but the integrity, that's why I came to work for them. Their word and their integrity, if they say they're going to do something, it gets done. And again, the client is always correct. They're always right.
Yep.
So that's what I love about, and that's what I think separates us from a lot of different MSPs is that we've
Mhm.
been around since the 80s. And we know it is also an employee owned company.
Nice.
So we have the opportunity. It's a little bit different than just getting a paycheck.
Right.
We employee owned. So that's kind of some of the differences between General Networks as an MSP and others.
Nice. Very nice. Did you know that there is an increase in the number of women leaving the tech industry? As a woman-owned business, Directions Training has made it our mission and passion to change this statistic. That's why Jennifer created this podcast. We showcase insight from everyday women for everyday women in the tech industry. Do you know other people that would benefit from tuning in? Share the link and help us drive the advancement of women in the tech industry. Do you have a journey or know of someone that our listeners would benefit from hearing about? Reach out to us at directionstraining.com/podcast. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and wherever you find your podcasts. Now, back to the show. So I know you love coaching and connecting people to their greatness. I love that. Can you share some stories of the people you've helped and how it's like affected you?
Sure. So I am part of a class that's called the Self-Expression Leadership Program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happens is I'll get a team of 5 and I coach them through community projects. That's why I'm so, when it comes to community, I'm so connected.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll just give you an example of one woman, I've never met her before, and we have this little group meeting and we have to get her homework done, and she's the lead and nobody talks to her. And she's like, nobody's listening to me. She's at like 96 pounds. She's, tiny little thing. She goes, no one ever listens to me. So I coached her through that over 4 months with her project, with things that are breakdowns. You find out things about yourself. And what was stopping her with men in particular, because she was the only woman on our team,
Mm-hmm.
was she had a breakdown with her dad, and she cleaned that up and had restored her relationship after 46 years. So that allowed her to be more dynamic. And now she's doing things in the LA school district around her project that were no's, and now people are saying yes. And it was
Wow.
how she um, positioned herself,
That's
And
amazing.
so, yeah, so after 46 years, she got her dad back. But I know that sounds, it's not business, but it is because you carry it over into your business.
Yeah, your personality,
Yeah.
your things that you do, all connected, right, to business and personal. It's not one, you can't be one way one day and another way another day. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then I have another guy, this last class that I coached in, he wouldn't he was an engineer and for a very large tech company, and he would go to work and do his work, but not really converse and not be a team player. Well, after, being coached with this project and with me coaching him, he now is a team player, but the account manager that he couldn't stand just sold the largest project of the largest sale of their team so far. So with him getting out of the way and finding out why he couldn't converse and be a team player, now he is, and now the needle for, the quotas are going up. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
the sales are going up. And
That's
so
great.
that's what I try to do is it in the coaching that I do, it's around it's project based, but it's only a vehicle to coach that person. And then there's so many other things that come up that I coach from. So
So do you feel uh, all the people that you've worked with are very coachable? They take what you say to heart and actually do. And obviously these two definitely did what you worked with them on. But have you had a situation where it was just very difficult to change somebody?
oh yeah, yeah. So transformation, you could put 5 people in a room and do the same thing, or give your best, but transformation is individual. And yeah, there's one guy that I'm coaching all these 4 months, and the only thing that he got out of 4 months was he didn't want his job anymore, and he's going in to be an electrician.
Mm,
So he was really great too, but he couldn't get a grasp of his greatness. So his
mm-hmm,
shyness is continuing. So
mm-hmm.
yeah, there's times, but to me that's a win because
It is because he's realized where he needs to be and where he's
yeah,
going to excel, right? I mean, his greatness is probably not in this role, in a different role.
yeah. And one thing that I've taken out of coaching, which I'm really thrilled, and I'm doing it now on the side as well, like at night. I have a few clients, but one thing that, in this class that I'm in, I've done it for like, I think 6 or 7 classes, and nobody leaves. My participants stay with me through the whole course, and that typically a coach will lose 1 or 2 people because they get confronted. You're not going to tell me, or whatever. So they get confronted and they leave. And I don't have people leave. And I think it's because, again, I meet them where they're at and I see their greatness, and that's where I work from. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
just say, even a homeless person, they have if you sit and take time and talk to them, you'll learn something. And
Everyone has greatness,
yeah,
yes. And
everyone
you have
has.
to look for it to find it. If you just assume that they don't have it, you're never going to find it. But
Yeah,
you meet them where they are. You're very warm, empathetic, and you're really looking to help. And I think that makes a huge difference.
yeah. In my life, I want people to know that I was a contribution. I mean,
Hmm.
money comes and goes, but if I can touch as many people and contribute to them, that's really what I'm up to.
And
And that's
and you
what I
do
love.
that so well.
I love
You really
sales
do.
because of that. It's a
Mhm.
something, yeah, I get paid for it, but if I can leave their company better than how I walked into it, uh, that's a win. And, I just feel like I love people. That's all. I
That's
want them
great.
to be best. Yeah.
That's great. So, in addition to all the things that you're doing with coaching and running your account management business, you're also a community leader at the IAMCP, which is a nonprofit that works with Microsoft Partner Channel. Share with us your passion for diversity and inclusion in the workplace and how you are making a difference, because I know you do a lot of work in this space.
Yeah. So DE&I is right there with my coaching, as, like my passion.
Hmm.
Um, a few years ago, I do think I don't want to, I'll just say I think I was prejudiced. Um, I think I told this story that I was walking down New York one time, and I had my purse, and a black person walked by me, and I grabbed my purse. Because my mother always said, she grew up in Brooklyn, and when I went to visit her, like when I was 10, same thing, watch your wallet, watch your purse, that. And so I think I had a lot of unconscious bias, right? So through DE&I and being a chair for San Diego chapter, I really could distinguish those and take care of those and move them aside. And what's really happened now is I can be with anyone. And even there was there's a member that's Indian in the IMACP, and a few years ago I talked to him, but I felt like he was smarter than me. I felt like I couldn't understand him. So I would not avoid him, but I certainly wouldn't just, hey, and talk to him. So that actually came up the other day in a meeting, and I'm like, wow, I've really come a long way because I really love this person. I mean, he's a great person. And so the DE&I has really developed me to be able to be with anyone, and no matter what skin color, or if even we had a transgender come and speak and to San Diego, and I really learned a lot, but I asked really hard questions, and she answered them. So what I've learned too, to ask really hard questions so I can learn. And
to have the conversation is so important. The awareness is so important. And I give you so much credit to understand your unconscious bias and then fix it, to say you have to have an open mind. You have to, you can't think like that, because so many things influence your thought process, right? Where you grew up, how you were raised, what schools you went to, where you live, all of those things. So we all have biases, but to be aware of them and then to shed them is huge. So that's very impressive.
Yeah, I actually a few years ago dated this really great black man, and we had so much fun at music concerts and such. But I noticed where we would get put in the back room. Police would profile him, and I'm like, what? Because I never experienced anything.
You never realized, right?
No. And so I think, yeah, I just think that a lot of times we as people, I mean, I'll just say for myself, as a white woman that was raised very sheltered, I have these biases, and I didn't even know it until DE&I, and I'm really thankful to be in this, into the DE&I group, because I learn something every week. It's like,
Yeah.
And as far as my company, we have all different, we have, brown people, we have women, men, and they're in leadership. We have a woman controller, and we have, I believe they just hired a woman for our help desk, which is really great, because Charles really wanted to have a woman, but it's really hard to find women to be in tech. It's really hard to find the right fit.
That's what we're trying to do, is change that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm the only woman on my team, as far as sales team. And so, but I know my company is really trying to transform that as well. But like you said, we're all trying to change that. So
no, that's great. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for sharing your experiences, because we can all learn from each other. So being a woman in tech, what challenges have you faced over the years, and what have you done to overcome them?
Oh my gosh, women today talk about like a man touching their arm or something, in business. And because I started sales when I was 18, so I've been at it a long time. And in the 80s they had Top Gun, right? Remember Top Gun, the movie?
I do.
Well, I was selling equipment, and they invited me to go to the Top Gun hangar. And I went, and my guy rolled in the machine, and there was probably 30 men around in a circle, and I'm demoing, and I had, in the 80s, I wore a bow tie, I had my suit on, like, all
Mm-hmm.
prim and proper. And this man, my contact, I was in the Top Gun hangar. I didn't even know what Top Gun was. I really did not even have a clue, because I worked all the time. I never watched movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, so I'm demoing, and some guy came behind me and took off my jacket.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I'm watching my driver, and he's just laughing. And the next thing you know, they took off my tie.
Mm.
And I'm like, what? And I stopped. But at that moment, I'm like, what do I do? And this is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what do I do? Do I keep going, or do I button up shop, or what do I do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I kept going, and he stopped. But when I got done, I'm like, Patrick, why didn't you do something or say something? And he goes, I just was laughing. He was just laughing. He thought it was
Mm-hmm.
funny. So I kind of, and why I'm saying this is, I grew up with all this, right? Like, I've gotten, in inappropriate material given to me from men.
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked on dates, when I'm trying to close a sale.
Mm-hmm.
This was my younger years. So I've gone through that whole thing, because that there wasn't very many women in sales.
Right.
It was really, just really was not. And so to today, I see a major change. I do. I
Mm-hmm.
I see, a lot of really great changes, where uh, salaries are still probably sometimes not the same, but I think it's better now. I
They're
think it's
getting there. Yeah.
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 I think we've taken really huge steps to have women and men equal in business. Um, I think there's still some work to be done, but nothing like what I experienced. I mean,
Right.
if I experienced anything like that right now, I'd probably own someone's company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it doesn't, I mean, you don't see it as often. So that shows that there is progress being made, which is great, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, um, I've been through, 40 years is 40 years. I've been through a lot, and I've seen a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
now, I just, well, with my company, one thing about General Networks, I love, there's no gossip.
Mm-hmm.
There's, and I think, in a company that could kill a company,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. It can be
there's no
toxic.
gossip. And, um, there's no, it's just all business, so,
Yeah. No, that's great. And
yeah,
that's what we come to work for, right? Just to get our work done, to have some great conversations, to create great relationships, but not where it compromises you in any way, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
No,
yeah.
that's true. Very good. Um, so, any leadership skills that you've learned during your career that have stuck with you?
Let's see. Leadership for me, like, I know the IMACP, like the San Diego chapter, they want me to become the president, or um, in all this work that I do, they want me to lead a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I can lead, even, with DE&I.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel like I'm a leader. I feel like I'm a leader, but almost like a backup singer,
Mm-hmm. Well, you
where,
execute, right? It's great to be a leader, but if you're not executing in the background, we need people like that. Otherwise, nothing gets done.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think that's what I have found who I am in myself, uh, that I am a leader. I think I make a difference,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not necessarily that front person.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been presidents of associations and all, but I really do like being the backup singer.
Okay.
I like
That's
being that.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where my joy is. I like to support whoever is leading. And I noticed that even with my business.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's certain things in business, like I said, collecting money and, you know, uh, and collecting from partners
Hmm.
is tough, you know.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, I like leading, but from as a support person. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's awesome. Um, so I love to travel. And so this is my way of finding out all new places where people have been and they had amazing experiences. So, what is one of your favorite places that you've traveled to and why?
So I'm not one to go abroad or
Mhm.
really travel outside the States. I have been to Barbados. I
Uh-huh.
really enjoy the water. One place that I really loved is the Dominican.
Mhm.
I went there with my husband and then a girlfriend, and then I went back. We took our whole family, and my stepdaughter got engaged, and then we went back the following year, and she got married there.
Mm.
So I love it there because the waters, I think the people, uh, just really, a very good service.
And
Um,
I haven't been there, so I'm going to add that one to my list. I know my daughter wanted to go when she got married for their honeymoon, but then there was some type of reason that they couldn't go because of international travel. I think there was some kind of virus or something that was not good. This was a while ago. And so she didn't go either. So now I want to go back there.
yeah, I've been there a few times, and it's really about the resort and resorts and the way they treat you. And
Hmm.
my husband and I, we took a dune buggy out in the mud. So
Hmm.
we mud bogged. It was pretty fun. I've never done anything like that. It was pretty fun. But
That's cool. That's cool. It's the experiences that you remember. It's the people that you're with, the
yeah,
food that you eat, the service that you get. It's just amazing. It's all of that in one package that
yeah,
makes it why you go back, right?
yeah. And one thing that I love to do, and I've done it, I think 3 times now. When I was growing up as a kid, my parents they retired very early, like in their 40s. And
Mm.
so my dad would got a motor home, and he would take, on summer vacations. I was the baby, so I was the only one left in the house, and he would take me across country. Every summer we'd go to, I don't know, all 50 states, it seems like. And so I was always doing road trips every summer.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so now I find myself as an adult, like I live in San Diego and I sell into Los Angeles, and people are like, "What do you do that?" But I love the road trip. Like I love
Hmm.
knowing I have appointments and I go do those appointments and then I drive back. But
Hmm.
I've done a few times where I've gone cross country, and I did that a couple years ago, where I didn't know, my friend and I, we didn't know where we were going to stay, what we were going to do. We were just taking one day at a time.
Wow.
And we went for 6 weeks. Or actually, yeah.
Wow.
And so what he wanted to see was missions, and he loved to gamble. So
Mhm.
I said, okay. So we saw a bunch of different missions and a few casinos. And while he was gambling, I was getting a spa treatment, because I don't
Nice.
gamble very much.
Yeah,
So
me either.
yeah, but it was fun because we didn't know where we were going, what we're so no, we didn't know where we were going to stay. And it was really exciting. And I love I love the road trips. I love small
The
towns.
spontaneity is so great. And I don't know, I haven't done that because I'm such a planner and everything has to be organized before I get anywhere. But it feels freedom, right? It doesn't become such a big chore to
Yeah.
plan everything and you just kind of go with the flow.
Well,
One
if you
day I'd
want
love to do
coaching
that.
around
I don't
that,
know.
let me know.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Well, Veronica, this was an amazing conversation. I loved every minute of it. Thank you for all the good work that you do. It was an honor to have you on the show. So, what closing comments or advice do you have for our listeners?
Well, I just want to say thank you to you, and also for any women that are listening, that, if you're in technology, keep going. And if you're starting to look into technology, again, there are so many avenues you can take. And don't think that, just because you don't know coding or all the different uh, types of, migration information and Azure and all the buzzwords, that you can't get into technology. Because I got into technology and I got hired because I didn't have all the skills. Like I got hired for other skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest that really anyone, but women in particular, that you really take a look at your skill set and see where that fits in, and then grow from there and take classes or whatever you need to do. But really know your greatness and let people know about it as well.
That's amazing. Great advice. Well, Veronica, thank you so much. I truly appreciate your time, and I really enjoyed our time together.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end-user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions, covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.